Berklee was started in 1945 by a man named Larry Burke, who was an MIT-trained engineer, and he was enamored. He was also a great pianist and an arranger, and he was enamored by this method of studying music called the Schillinger method, that was formulated by a Russian mathematician named Joseph Schillinger. It's very analytical, and Larry himself was an analytical person, so he started this school to train young musicians, not to study classical music, but to study jazz and swing and big band music, the music of the day that he was enamored of. And that was a radical idea back in 1945, because a lot of people thought, A, that jazz wasn't a legitimate form of music, B, that it was corrupting our young people, C, that even if you liked it, you couldn't teach it, that you had to learn it, person to person in the street, that there was no formal way to think about it or teach it. And Larry rejected all those ideas and said, absolutely, it's legitimate music, it's wonderful music, and I think now most people recognize that it really is America's great contribution to world culture and art. But he also said, I think there is a way you can teach it. So then it was started sort of like a private studio of Larry Burke, and then in the 60s, the Burke family actually made it into a nonprofit. It became accredited to grant degrees and started offering a four-year college degree in a Bachelor of Music. And Larry's son Lee took over. And the thing about Berklee, that the key element of our legacy that I want to make sure that I maintain as president is that we did things 10, 20, 30 years before anybody else thought that they could or should be done. So we taught jazz in 1945. I dare say there was no conservatory on the face of the earth. In fact, I know people in conservatories who got thrown out for playing jazz. Their teachers would say, that's going to ruin you. Don't play that music. So that was radical. In the 1960s, we embraced the electric guitar before the Beatles, and our enrollment exploded because we suddenly were the only place in America where if you were serious about music, you could study electric guitar. And of course, we've gone on to produce people like John Scofield and Mike Stern and Kevin Eubanks and Mick Goodrick, and Pat Metheny was a faculty member here because we were ahead of the curve. Then also in the early 70s, probably, I guess is the seminal moment, we embraced music technology when most musicians were saying, this is going to put us out of work, this is horrible stuff, it's going to dumb down music, we shouldn't embrace it, we should resist it. But Berklee, knowing that some of those arguments are legitimate, technology actually can dumb down music if you don't use it properly, but so can anything else. A guitar played by a person who's not good at playing the guitar doesn't necessarily sound good. So technology is just a tool. Berklee had the guts to say, no, we're going to embrace technology. So we embraced it both in electronic instruments and synthesizers, but also the creation of music synthesis. We have a music synthesis department and have, I think, longer than any other institution. And also production and engineering, and seeing the interconnectedness of the way you record music and how music is shaped and evolves. So in my mind, the big legacy of the institution is that we've embraced change and we've been willing to be on the cutting edge. We've been willing to be wrong sometimes. We've been willing to take risks. So again, I don't know of any other conservatory or college that teaches music that's embraced hip hop the way we have. We have a course in turntablism. We've tried to codify the techniques of turntablists so that can be transmitted and shared with people around the world. We have an online school that outreaches to people in remote corners of the world who will never be able to come to an American conservatory and study jazz, but they can get some of the secret sauce online. So I think it's got a very proud heritage, and it's an honor to be trying to lead it into the next century.